Stefan, that's coming your way? Are you updating this year, or are you waiting?
Well, I am updating, and I'm doing quite a big upgrade.
Ooh,
Like both to the watch and the phone. So like tomorrow I'll be hopefully receiving the Apple Watch Ultra 3. Um, but since I've
nice.
been a little bit hesitant on the iPhone, I need to wait a little bit longer. But I am in the terrible situation that the case already shipped. I already have the case here,
Ah, yes,
which is
yes.
like the
It's
most
just
first world
haunting you.
problem ever. But yeah, like I have this sitting right next to me, and the phone will only arrive like probably 2 weeks from now. So
Oh
yeah,
man, that's funny. Well, sorry for you having to wait, but very exciting. Upgrading a watch is always exciting, just for me, just because you get a new, longer battery life. That alone is nice.
I hope so. Yeah, like it's
Yeah,
been a few years since I've upgraded, and I didn't have the Ultra yet, so I'm very curious to see how it turns out. So what did you get then?
awesome. I have the AirPods showing up, which
Mm.
the new AirPods 3, which these are like my favorite digital device basically that's come out in the last I don't know how long. I just love them. And then I do have the new Pro phone coming as well because I'm addicted to whatever the best camera I can get. I pretty much will always get that.
I
Um,
feel you.
yeah. All right. So it looks like people have started trickling in. So I'm going to go ahead and kick us off here. So today we are going to talk about adding video calling into your iOS app in 30 minutes with Stream. And this is going to be like, this might be the most, coding of coding webinars we've done for the Shipaton so far. I think this is going to be like really like actually diving in and implementing some stuff. So I'm very excited to see that. Um, so first, let's introduce who we are. So I am Charlie Chapman. I'm a developer advocate here at Revenue Cat and the self-proclaimed captain of the Shipaton. And with me this time is Stefan Blos, and you are a developer advocate at Stream.
That's correct. Yeah.
So as usual, this is live. So the whole point of doing this live is that we can interact with you, you can interact with us. So please, 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 right now, tell us who you are in the chat if you're in the live storm. And then as we're going, please throw questions in the questions tab if you're in live storm. And then if you're watching on YouTube or Twitter or LinkedIn, you can join the Discord and ask questions there, and I'll be monitoring that and bringing them into the show as well. So please do that. It makes these way more interesting, I think, whenever people are engaging, and it makes doing them live actually make sense. So let's go around the world of the Shipaton and see what's going on there. So the build in public energy, as always, has been very exciting. A lot of people have been shipping recently as we're getting closer and closer to the end, which is extremely exciting. So I just wanted to highlight there was a bunch of these, but I don't know how to pronounce this. Abhimanyu. He said he made his first money online for his app, which is always a really exciting thing. I absolutely love. One of my favorite things working here is seeing people post screenshots of their notifications as they get notifications that a new trial or a new sale just started. That is very cool. The other one that I love is Revenue Cat's like billing model is sort of funny in that it's completely free until you make a certain amount of money. And so people will tweet about the first bill that they get from Revenue Cat, because what that means is that your app has grown to the point where you actually get charged, which is a very funny, like, I've never worked somewhere where people are happily talking about the first time they get charged by you. But that is a very fun thing about working here. So very excited to see that. Magnus was sharing a like on start launch animation for his app that just looked and Bunya is working on running experiments and testing his different price changes and everything, which is really cool to see, because that's kind of one of the big things with the Shipaton is it's not just about shipping, but it's about the follow through afterwards and trying to grow the app from there. So exciting to see that. As usual, go to hashtag Shipaton and just be inspired by the crazy amount of content you'll see all over the internet for that. And then also, Shipaton IRL events are still happening, and honestly, the pace has kind of picked up. There's a lot going on. So, in Manila, there was an event I think over the weekend, and they shared some pictures. Really cool crowd. Looked like they were having a lot of fun. Also, Indie Hub in Bengaluru. They had an event. This is actually, they've done a couple events in different cities throughout the Shipaton, and this one looked like the turnout was really, really cool. Also, selfishly, I'm looking around this crowd and excited because I'm going to be there actually like a week from today. I'll be landing in Bangalore for Swift Bharat. So excited to see everybody there. And if you are also in Bangalore, hit me up because I'd love to hang out. And then there was an event in London at the Ramen Club event space. And if you look in the middle here, can I zoom in? Oh, I can zoom in. You might recognize this face from our last webinar. This is Taiwo. He has been doing the hashtag build in public thing extremely literally. He's been setting up tables all over London and like showing people in real life his app and getting their feedback live and talking through it. It's been very fun watching his Twitter account. And he went to this Shipaton event, and I think they said that they used his game as the way to pick winners for the plushies, which was, I don't know, it was an exciting crossover event, I thought, in that world. And then there are more Shipaton IRL events happening. So NS Spain, I believe, starts today. I don't know, time zones are weird, but there's a bunch of revenue cats in Spain right now, and so that conference is a great conference. But obviously, there will be lots of Shipaton. Actually, a lot of Shipaton participants are going to be there as well. So excited to see that group all getting together. There's an event in Chennai coming up with Nama Flutter, and then next Monday there's an event in Taichung with the university there. All right, so with that, I'm going to pass it over to you and let you show us how to add video calling into your app with Stream.
Thanks a lot. And first of all, like I just want to quickly mention again that it's really fun to see, like whenever you open up X or Threads or Blue Sky, whatever it is, and you just see the people who share stuff for Shipaton. It's always like very fun to see because like the excitement really is something that you can feel. And like you said, like it's incredible to see what people can build and what they are building like in such a short time. It's really cool to see.
So, yeah, it's a fun mixture of this is my first app I've ever made, and you know, I've been working on these side apps for a long time, but this is like, it gave me the inspiration to finally do this other project that I've wanted to do for a while. And it kind of crosses the gamut of people. And I don't know, I personally find it very inspiring as somebody who likes doing side apps. I always come out of these with like a new energy for building something. And I already have stuff that once I finally sleep after this is over, I already have an app that I really, really want to get started, which happened to me last year and I released it. So maybe I'll get another app done next year off of the energy from this.
I'm glad you're optimistic that you will sleep at some point. I mean, let's see about that. But
one can only hope.
Yeah, sure. All right. I want to show you today what you can do with Stream. This is just one example. I will in the end share a bit more about the other stuff that you can do. But today I want to demonstrate how to add video calling to an app. And as Charlie already mentioned, I want it to be really hands-on. And so I don't want to show much of marketing material or anything. I just want to show an app because I haven't told this to Charlie or anybody, but I actually wanted to participate in the Shipaton, and I created a new app, and it's called Shipaton. And we can take a look at it here on the right here in the preview. But basically, it's an app to ship used goods and sell it to other people who are interested. You can see a list of items here. You can actually sell stuff, so you can add your own stuff here and share this with others. You can see the inbox here. You can chat with people. It's not optimal yet, you know. There's contrast issues, and like who would ship an update with contrast issues, right? Nobody would.
Nobody would
So-
ever do that.
No, of course not. But yeah, you can explore this. And once you have decided that something could look interesting, you could, for example, take a look here. You can see the details. But you can't really get in contact with anybody. So there's this button that says talk to seller, but yeah, it's not really filled out yet. So there's not much we can do yet. But for this, I want to have a calling feature where I can actually talk to someone, or I can discuss with the person who's selling this, if I can get this. And this is what we'll build today. And we will use the Stream SDK for this. And well, to actually do this, of course, we need to first add the SDK. So we can go to add the package dependencies. And to actually find this, I can actually Google Stream Video Swift. And what we will see here is the first result is the GitHub repo. And cool thing is everything here is open source, so you can take a look at all the code. And this is the same for all our SDKs. So it's both for Swift, it's for Android, it's for Flutter, it's React, a lot of platforms. And everything's open source. You can always take a look. There's been a few commits already, and there's going to be more coming. So it's quite cool to I think, to watch this and see everything and be able to dive into the code if necessary. But what I will do is I will just copy this for now and switch back to Xcode. I can add the URL here and add this package. And like I said, it's quite convenient, so we can take a look at all the code. We don't need this for now, but we actually want to add the Stream Video package, which is the client, which I will talk about later, and then the Swift UI package. I don't need the UIKit one, so I can disable this. All right, with this done, while this is being added, I need to add 2 permissions to the app before I forget this. And I can do this in the info.plist file. And the 2 things that we need here is first the access to the camera. So we need a string for the camera usage description. Let's do just a small text here. It could be better, of course, but that should be fine for now. And then we also need to have
will
access.
Actually show whenever iOS prompts them for camera permissions, right? Is that message?
Exactly, yeah. So like it should be something that's meaningful, or at least more meaningful than what I have added here. Yeah, so in order to do calling, we need access to the microphone, for example, right? So this is just so that whenever users will start this for the first time, they will be prompted to give us access to the camera and the microphone, because this is what we need to add video calling, right? And so with this, we have like the setup done, and we have added the dependency here, and we can now initialize the project. But in order to initialize this, we actually first need a project. And for this, we can go to the browser again, and we can go to dashboard.getstream.io, and we can actually sign up. And let me quickly share a link in the chat here. So like there's a free sign up that you can use. I will add this in the chat, and I will also share it on socials later on. So
perfect.
With that, you can basically register for free and like test out things. And there's quite a generous free tier. So if you're doing something like a Shipaton project, you have a hard time actually breaking the free tier. I can guarantee. And what we can do now is we can create a new app. We can select storage locations, which in the best case, we do as close as possible to our users, but it's not crazy important, but it's just like for getting ideal connection times. So it makes sense. I already created one for this project, and I can see here all the SDKs that are being offered. I have my API key, which I will copy here because that's what I need in a second. But this is where we can do all kinds of things. I don't want to go into too much detail because that will break the scope, but there's tons of things you can do here. Okay, but we have copied the API key for now, so we can switch back to our app. And first, we need to import the Stream packages. there's the client as well as the Swift UI package, which offers some UI components that we will need later on. And the first thing we do is we add a state property here for the stream client, which is going to be a stream video object. And we need to initialize this. So let's add a init function here. And first, in order to connect to the SDK, we need a user object. And this is a stream object, and this requires a few things. So first, it will require an ID. Let's take me as an example, and we can also add a name, which will also be mine. And we can then just initialize the object. So we can say the stream client is a stream video object, and we already see the autocomplete here. And now we need three things. The first thing is an API key, which I luckily just copied. So I have this already. And then I need a user, which is the one that I just created. And then I need a user token. And for this, I would usually require a server. So in order to have proper user handling, we need a very simple server that hands out token. So basically it's JSON Web Tokens, so JWTs. I only have limited time here, so I will use a convenient tool, which is called the user JWT generator that you can find in our docs. And I need to add the secret of my app, which I can get from here, and the ID of the user, which is this one. And then I can just copy this, which I can use now. Of course, I should be careful with this because this is a token that never expires. So in a production app, I should not be using this. But here it's fine because I just want to quickly demonstrate how things work. But in a proper production-ready app, I would need to have some server handling of users, so registering them and handing out tokens using the server. There is also ways around this. So for example, we have for Firebase, we have some extensions that will give you proper user handling and hand out tokens, so you don't have to implement anything. But otherwise, you need to have a small little server that does that.
And one quick question that popped up in the chat is, does this integrate with Kotlin as well?
Yeah, definitely. Yes. So we have like an SDK that is optimized for Kotlin. We have everything for Android running basically the same as Android. So I think we have feature parity quite close to ideal over the SDKs as of now.
Awesome.
Cool. So with this, the initialization is done. So now I can take a look at the listing detail view, which is the code that shows a product. And if the preview shows, we can actually take a look at this. And here's the talk to seller button that will open up this sheet. And we can see inside it has this text that I have here that I now want to replace with, well, actual logic. And for this, I will have a new folder here, which is called calling. It's empty for now. So let's add a view here. And let's call this call view. And inside this call view, we want to first hand in an object, which is called listing. And this is just one of the objects that someone is shipping. So it's just the model object that I have here with IDs, title, pricing, and all of that. And in order to work with the preview, we need to hand in one object here. And luckily, I'm always, whenever I create model objects, I'm always creating an extension for them, giving it a preview static variable that I can always use in my previews, which is just very convenient. So whenever I do this, I can just use this, and it gives me like the option to easily work with previews, which I really like. All right, so this works. We don't have UI yet, but let's first actually integrate this here. So let's replace the text here with a call view. And for the listing, we have this listing object that the detail view has. So at the top here, the listing will be handed in, and we just hand this over to the call view. All right, with this, the logic here is done. So we need to actually switch back to the call view, and I close the sidebar again. And we can now start with the integration here. And let's first, again, let's import the stream video and the stream video Swift UI packages, because we will need to use those. All right, so first we need access to the stream object, so the stream video object that we initialized earlier, but we don't want to manually hand this down. So we offer a nice little convenience thing, and that's called the injected property wrapper here. And here we can actually define the stream, or we can actually access the stream video object just using this property wrapper here. And like this, we will have access to the stream video object, which is quite convenient. And the second thing we need to actually access the everything we want for the call and the logic, we add a state property here, and that is a call view model. And this is again a object from the Stream SDK. And by initializing this, we get all kinds of access to this logic that we need in order to handle calls. So these two lines, while not looking like much, they give us access to all the things we need to handle the logic of our calling and to access everything else. So it's quite cool. All right, I want to have a base UI here. So let's add a VStack here first. And then I'll copy over some code, because this is not really relevant. It's just some nice looking thing. And I'm using the dismiss function here. So I need to actually import the environment here for dismissing the view. So I'm opening this in a sheet. And in order to close the sheet, I need access to the dismiss function that I can get through the environment. And once this has finished, we can see it's just showing a very simple UI with the seller here. All right, so this looks okay, but now I want to actually add the logic here. So the code to actually start a call. And we don't really need to implement much for a calling feature, because all we need to do is to add a modifier here. And this modifier is called call modifier. And we can see it receives a view model, which is going to be the call view model, which conveniently is what we have actually added at the top here. So just using this, we have everything we need. But we're not starting the call yet, so we need to have a button to start this. So let's add this button. I'll add the logic in a second. Let's just do some very simple UI here, and let's call it start call. And I can give it an image. Let's do phone. And yeah, this looks okay. But I want to have it in the liquid glass look. So let's do it glass prominent so that we actually see this in color, and add some padding that it looks nice. All right, so we have the button, we can click it, but nothing happens, of course, because we haven't implemented any logic yet. But through the things that we implement or that we inject here, so we have access to stream view and the call view model, it becomes really easy to initialize a call. And we can use the call view model here and simply use the start call function. And we need to have 3 parameters here. The first is going to be a call type. We'll use default. And what this does is we have a few built-in types, and these are for different use cases. So the default one is just for a regular video calling app. We also have ones for audio calls. So if we want to simply use audio, then per default, the video will be disabled and it will be optimized for audio quality. There's also live stream options and other ones, and you can actually do custom ones that you can create inside the dashboard, which you can then optimize for your use case. So you can do, for example, permissions, where you could have like moderators have access to certain features that others don't. And it's quite fine-grained, so you can dive really deep into it. But I think the default ones that we have are quite sufficient for most of the use cases.
How do you know what string to put in here? Is there a doc that shows what the different default call types, or not default, but call types that you have built in? And then I'm presuming it's a string because you can make your own custom ones then, like you just said.
Sure. So if we look at the documentation, we have call types here. Let me quickly check. We're in the chat docs here. So if we go to, let me see, call types, we have guides here. I mean, this is the React documentation, but it's similar across the SDKs. So we have the default type. And like I said, this is for simple one-on-one calls or for larger group video calling, which is perfect for us. We have audio rooms, live stream, or development for like very generous.
And those are the literal strings that you put in.
Yes, exactly. Right.
Cool.
That's the literal strings. We thought about enums, but if you want to extend them, it becomes a little bit more difficult to extend this. So having raw strings is fine for now.
Makes sense.
But like I said, you can also customize this. All right. So we have the call type defined. Now we need to have a call ID. It would make sense probably to use something like the ID of the product here. I just created this one. It's just a random string. So you could probably like improve this and have a better call ID in a real app. But for now, that's fine. And then you have an array of members. So you could initialize this with only a certain group of people. I don't really need this because I will be part of this call, and I will show you how two people inside the same call look as well. But at least the members can be empty, or like I said, if I want to have only certain people inside that call, I could also add an array here. And so this is actually all we need, because for now, I can actually hit the start call button, and I'm actually joining a call. So you can see the runtime here at the top. I can mute or unmute myself, which is not working actually in the preview here. So I could also run this in a simulator. And there, at least microphone will work. So let's quickly.
The new simulator in Xcode 26 lets you do the camera, right? Am I remembering that correctly?
I actually haven't tried this.
Okay. I could be wrong because none of my apps use the camera. So, but I thought I remember seeing that and everybody being very excited. But I might be mistaken on that.
Now that you're saying it, maybe I'm not sure. But at least I can navigate here. I can now start the call, and you can see there's two people in there. I can mute myself now and see this. We don't see the camera. And that's too bad, but let's actually close this. And I do have the same app on my phone as well. So let me join from there. So let's join here, and let's start the call here. And you can now see me joining here, and I can even create the infinite mirror here. So yeah.
So you're running it on your phone and on the simulator, and you've joined the same call on both because that meeting ID is the same?
Exactly. Yeah.
Makes sense.
So exactly. So yeah, we can see this works quite well. And we can have all the logic that we wanted. Now, this would be enough, right? So with this, I have a proper calling setup. But I wanted to do one more thing because while it works, for projects like Shipaton, you want to have custom UI, right? You want to build your own apps. You want to make them look like you want. And so what we're seeing are all the default UI components that we are shipping, which are usable in a production app, but you probably want to customize them. And I want to quickly demonstrate how this works. And for this, let me open up the website again, because you can check our docs here. So you can go to developers and video and audio, and you can scroll down and you see all the SDKs that we have. And let's look at the iOS and Swift ones. And there's tutorials for all the things that you can do. There's a quick start and guides for all the things. And there's also customization options here. So you can do UI components. It might be a bit small, right? So let me make this a little bit bigger. And there's an overview here. You can do theming. So for example, you can just switch colors quite easily. But I think the more interesting thing is view customizations, because this is where you can actually replace views from the custom ones that we are shipping to the ones that you want. And we're using a principle called view factory here. And I will show you in a second how this looks. But basically, it's a class that you define, and you can override certain functions, because the view factory is something that we're shipping with our SDK. And then you can override the things that you want to customize. And so, for example, you could override the outgoing call view, or you could override the incoming call view, and then only this component will change, and the rest will still use the custom ones that we're shipping, or the built-in ones that we're shipping, so that you can customize what you want, but also still use the ones that you don't want to touch and that you are happy with from the built-in ones. All right, to do this, let's switch back to our app, and let's add a view factory. So we can add a new file here, make it a Swift file. You can call it custom view factory. And let's import Swift UI. Let's import our SDKs, if I can type correctly. Then we have a class, call it custom view factory, and we inherit from the view factory from our SDK. And I can leave this empty for now, because I'm not overriding anything. So with that, I would still use all the built-in components that are shipping with our SDK. And the way I can use this now is whenever I customize the options here, I can add to the call modifier here. I have the view model already, but I can actually add a second one here, and this is called the view factory, right? So when I add one here, which is going to be my custom view factory, this is all I need to do. And now all the components that I'm overriding from inside my view factory here will be taken and used instead of the built-in components. And so I want to make a quick example of one component here. So let's create a new Swift UI view, and I want to change the call controls. So let's call this custom controls view. And this is where I will use all of this. So inside here, I now want to have the options to mute and unmute myself inside a call, and I want the option to disable and enable the camera again. For this, I will need access to the call view model. So let's first add an observed object here and use the call view model for this, which I'm not importing yet. So let's import the stream video and the stream video Swift UI packages. And this will build now. I need to add this, of course, in the preview so that everything will work here. And how I can initialize this now is inside here, I can now start typing make, and I will see all the things that I can override. Quite a few options. And with autocomplete, I'm getting all the options that I have. And of course, like I said, the docs are having examples for all of these things, so you can customize everything you want. And for now, I want to have the make call controls view thing that I'm overriding. I need to return some view, which is just Swift UI that requires that to happen. And for all the Swift UI nerds here, not sure about Charlie, but we're not using any view here under the hood to actually feature this, but we're using generics, which makes the whole thing quite efficient and quite performant. So whenever you swap out these, and here we can now do a custom controls view, and conveniently we're getting the view model here that we can now inject into our view. And so with that, it will automatically use our custom controls view that, well, we haven't really implemented yet, but we'll do that now. And so we have the call view model that we need to do some customizations here. And then I want to have a button here, which is like a settings button that will transform into the microphone and the camera buttons to enable, disable microphone and camera. Because I've seen a very cool liquid glass effect on Twitter that I want to recreate here. So let's do this. And for that, I want to have basically two states. We have an expanded and a non-expanded state. And let's make this false for now. And in order to do this cool liquid glass effect that I mentioned, I also need a namespace. So let's create this as well. All right. Like I said, I want to do a cool effect. So let's first wrap everything in a glass effect container. And then I want to have a simple horizontal stack where I have 3 buttons. I want to start with the settings button. So let's create a button. The UI is what I'll first do, and I'll add the logic in a second. But here we have an image now. We can use the SF symbols, so we can use the gear button here, and we'll see it on the pop-up here on the right. Let's add some padding here so it looks a little bit better. And we can add a button style again. I will not use a glass style here, but a plain one, and then use a glass effect instead, because here I can say I want this in a circle. So this will have this nice circle around this. I'm not sure if you can see it properly, but yeah.
Yeah, I can see with the shadow behind it.
Tap on it. It has a nice effect. And I need to add one more thing, because for this cool glass effect that is morphing, I need to give it a glass effect ID. Let's call this container. For now, it doesn't really matter what we call it. It just needs to be unique. And I have a typo in here, which doesn't matter, but I just don't like this. All right. Okay, so we have the UI there. We now need to have logic for this. So for this, it's quite easy. We just want to toggle the isExpanded property so that we can expand our UI here. So let's wrap this in with animation function, and we simply call the isExpanded, and we toggle this. All right, so we can tap on this, but nothing will really happen because we haven't really implemented anything yet, right? And so for this, let's add the code here, and we can now say if isExpanded, we want to show 2 more buttons. And the first one will be the microphone one, and the second one will be the camera one. And now the logic or the code is quite similar again. We have a button, we give it a label, it's an image, it's a system name again. We do a microphone, do a padding as well, just like we did for the settings icon. We give it a button style of plain and do the glass effect again. So everything is quite similar. We want to have this in a circle, and I misspelled this, and I want a glass effect ID as well. So let's call this microphone, and we have the namespace here as well. All right, but we want to have logic, of course. So for now, we're not doing anything really with it. We can test this, and it will show up with this nice morphing animation already, but we haven't implemented any logic yet. So let's add this. And For this, we luckily have access to the call view model, so we don't need to inject anything else here, but we have access to everything we need to manage the call. And we have the call view model, and here we have access to a call object. We also have access to calling state and participants. So there's a lot of things we can access here. And if there's a call, I want to take the microphone and toggle it. So quite simple, right? It's activated or disabled. This won't work because this is an async function, so I need to wrap it in a task and use the try await syntax here. So we try await this, and with this will work. So if I toggle this again, this will now do the logic, which we're not seeing yet. I'll show you in a second how that works. However, I'm not seeing an indication yet if the microphone is currently active or not, right? So it would be cool to have this as well. And in Liquid Glass, we can have a tint effect in our buttons here. So let's add this, and we can use the regular glass effect here and add a tint. Now I want to have a green color if the microphone is currently active, and I want to have a red color if the microphone is deactivated. Now I need to have access to the call for this, and luckily we do have this. So we have the call view model. We can access the call, and we can access the microphone, and we can check the status of it, which is an enum. So it can either be enabled, disabled, or none. So we can say whenever it's enabled, I want to give this the color of green, and otherwise I want to give this the color of red.
What does none mean in this case?
And so I'm seeing an error, which I'm probably having a comma that I'm missing.
Oh, right.
So with that, it works, I think. And I see the indication is now red. So whenever I would click this in the real app, it will change to a green icon. Now I only have the microphone, so let's do the same thing for the camera. And I can just reuse
you don't see that behavior in the preview, because in the preview you're just sending in that like stub
exactly
view model. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, so we don't have the entire logic for it.
Yeah.
For the calling, right? I will show you because like I'm just showing the preview of the controls view, right? I will show the working thing in a second. It also works in previews, so it's quite convenient.
Oh, cool.
But yeah. All right. So now I duplicated the button. I can change the microphone to camera and simply toggle this. I can change the system name here to a camera, and it will show a camera. I can change the microphone of the status here to camera, and everything will work. I just need to switch this effect here, this effect ID, to camera. And as you can see, like the logic is very similar, right? So whether I'm accessing the microphone or the camera, it doesn't really matter. Like the core logic is just the same. So if I tap this now, I see both the camera and the microphone, and everything should work smoothly. So at least the animation looks great. So let's try and see it in action. Let's go to the overview here, and let's see the preview. That will load in a second. And we can now select, for example, this beautiful camera. I can hit the talk to seller again. That's a different one. And I can start the call. And as we see here at the bottom, this now shows our, and I can zoom this in a little bit. This now shows our custom UI that we just built. We can now tap on here, and we can see, we can toggle this. It works. And we can close this again, and we see the nice animation. And at the same time, we haven't changed any of the other components. So we can really have fine-grained control over, this is what we want to change. Everything else will just stay the same. And if I want to change more of the components, I can do this. But otherwise, I can just leave them as is. I think it's a quite cool concept to get started really quickly with a prototype, and then like customize from then on whatever you want, right? And everything else still works. So yeah, I think we have quite successfully implemented.
Yeah.
Calling, I think I was within 30 minutes. And just to wrap things up, I just wanted to say again, like we have different products, right? We have chat, we have video, we have activity feeds and moderation. Everything's wrapped quite nicely together. So if you use one and want to add one of the others, it works really nicely. We have guides for all of that. So let's, for example, take a look at the iOS SDK. If we want to add, for example, chat, we have documentation on this. You can add custom filters. You can, like I said, have a chat integration quite easily. So I think it's quite a cool setup if you need any of these features. And like I said, you have a quite generous free tier that you can use that should be sufficient for getting started and for, well, I think having quite a few users. So I think something like 1,000 users should probably still work. And if you go upwards from there, we have different plans as well. So you can probably scale up quite nicely with this.
Nice. That's awesome. I'm curious, what, like, have you seen many use cases from smaller indie apps that are taking advantage of this and doing kind of cool things? Or is it usually bigger companies?
Well, I'd say both.
Well, definitely bigger companies for sure.
Luckily, that works quite well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think like as you can see, I think building probably like the people watching this know better. But it's quite easy to, or like it's quite straightforward to get started with building a basic app. But certain features sound trivial in the beginning, but can become quite complex quite fast. I mean, could be paywalls, could be other things, right? And so I think the convenience of adding this in only a few lines of code really and a very, very short time has come in quite handy for people who just get started, because you want to really focus on your USP that you have, and you don't want to like fight with all the challenges that you have with things like chat and video. So for example, like we're using WebRTC under the hood with our video calling product, and like this is quite complex to get right. And to have like an edge network that's optimized to run like with minimal lag on like basically all over the world, right? Like it's quite complex to get this up yourself. And so I think especially for like smaller like groups of people or even solo developers, we have seen that it like enabled them to add these features without much friction and like provide like value to their users quite easily. So it's really cool to see what can be enabled with that.
That's awesome. Are there any, I mean, maybe you can't reveal specific examples, but I'm curious, are there any examples you can think of that are cool? Like you would never spend the effort to add this type of feature into your app if you had to build it all from scratch, but because this tool set's so easy to integrate, you could build this like kind of small, nice to have, but really cool feature on top of an existing indie app or not indie app.
I think like the extensibility is quite cool to see. So like if I talk, for example, about chat, I mean, like you can think of simple one-to-one person chat, right? But also you can think of live stream chat, right? Where just someone is streaming and you could have like a Twitch-like feature where people can just give kudos or tip people, because like you can also like customize, for example, attachments. So you could add payment quite easily. And I think it's like examples like that are just cool to see, like how people can get creative with this and like ship the things that just fit their use case perfectly.
That's awesome. Cool. Well, thank you for showing that off. That was impressive, getting that down into 30 minutes. Honestly.
Well, I was surprised that nothing broke. But
Yeah, it was very smooth. There was
yeah.
only like 2 typos in the whole thing. I don't know if I've ever done a live demo that's been that smooth ever in my life.
Well, I can say that these typos, that wasn't the fault of the SDK. That was like
Yeah.
completely on the developer. Like I can't blame the SDK for that. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, let's see. I can share my slides here, and
Yeah, I can
there
stop
we go.
sharing.
So next time, actually next week is like the last full week before the end of the Shipaton. So we're getting kind of close to the end here, which I'm sure is scary for lots of people, building, because it's always scary to get to the end. It's certainly scary for me running it, because there's a lot of things that have to happen as we get towards the end. But I am extremely excited. I've already been just deeply enjoying seeing the submissions starting to roll in and seeing what apps people have been building. But obviously that's going to increase a lot more as we get closer. So excited to see all those roll in. Next week on Tuesday, the next one of these live streams is going to be on how to understand your data and run experiments to grow your app's revenue. That one is going to be extremely exciting, especially once your app's out there. Oh, hey, look at that. My dog decided to show up. Say hi to Moose. That one's going to be really, really interesting. I think this one is going to be Revenue Cat experts that we have here that are building these tools that are going to talk you through the best way to run an experiment and some things that you can do to grow your app, basically. So that one will be very, very awesome. And then the one after that on Thursday will be a Q&A, kind of a final get all your questions in about the Shipaton in here. And both of those, I'm actually going to be in India. So maybe I'll be able to call in from an airport or midnight at a hotel. I haven't figured out the time zones yet. But my fearless co-captain, I don't know what you want to call him, Matt, is going to be running these. And we'll have, like I said, some guests from Revenue Cat here as well. So very excited to see those. Very excited to see us getting close to the finish line here. So can't wait to see what you all do there. Stefan, thank you so much for joining. This was really, really cool. And thank you, Stream, for helping out the Shipaton as a sponsor.
It was a pleasure. And of course, fingers crossed to everybody who is shipping something. I need to really focus now, because I only have 12 days left to ship my Shipaton thing, right?
Yeah, we're getting down. We're getting into that danger zone where it's like you really need, if you're waiting on an app update from Apple, especially if it's your first version, you really should get that pushed out there. Even if you have bugs that you know about, push it out there. You can always do a follow-up bug fix release, but you want to make sure you get through that app review time.
Definitely.
Awesome. All right. Well, until next time, I will talk to you all later. Bye.
See you.